Keelan.
John, thanks very much indeed. Well, as you heard there in the news, figures obtained by RTE show that there are around 3,500 council housing units that have been vacant for a month or more right across the country. Meanwhile, 98,000 people are on the waiting list and the government are spending nearly €500 million on rent supplement every year. Well, I'm joined now by Simon Brooke from Clwyd Housing Association. Simon, thank you very much indeed for coming in to us this morning. It doesn't seem to make sense at all that there are so many people on waiting lists, that there are 3,500 empty units, and that the government is paying so much money into the private sector for rental properties that they've often had problems with, in that they've been substandard. What is the basic problem here? Is it not a lack of joined-up thinking, or is it just money?
You're right, it is a significant problem, Keelan. If you just put it in context, 3,500 empty houses is equivalent to about 1.5 county councils' entire social housing stock lying empty. So it is a significant problem, and it is also a terrible waste of money, because if you were to take the households who are currently getting rent supplement and house them in those empty properties, I reckon you could save somewhere in the region of 20 million a year. 20
million just by getting the 3,500 going again?
Just by doing that, yes. And when you put that in the context of the 15 million that the Minister was talking about earlier this morning in relation to empty properties, that would be a very significant assistance.
Yeah, and in fairness to the Minister, she does acknowledge that this is a problem, and she was saying that there's 30 million in total, I think 15 for building new council properties and 15 for refurbishment. Is that in any way adequate?
It's very difficult to know what the total cost would be. I would estimate the total cost of refurbishing the empty dwellings to be somewhere in the region of 100 million. So it's a very small
100 million?
It could be as much as that, easily.
For 3,500 empty properties?
Well, one of the reasons why they're long-term empty is that they have serious repairs problems. And local authorities have simply run out of money. So many local authorities are well aware of the problems they have, but they don't have the money to carry out the repairs.
So that's one side of the equation, in that they're not being done up again. What about the building programme? Has that kept up to date with demand?
The building programme, local authority building programme, has almost completely come to a halt. In 2008, local authorities completed, I think, 5,000 houses. 2012, it was 600.
600 with 98,000 on the waiting list?
300, I think.
So, I mean, you're part of a housing association. You would consider yourselves very much to be part of the solution. Will you explain to me what you would bring to it?
Well, maybe first if I explain what a housing association is, because viewers may not be familiar with that. Housing associations are independent, not-for-profit charities, and we provide housing for people from local authority waiting lists who can't afford to buy their own homes or live in private rented housing. And we are one of the biggest housing associations. We own nearly 4,000 houses, and we manage another 1,500 on behalf of other organisations. And the reason why we're part of the solution to this problem is that we can access loan finance. We can get loans, mortgages if you like, that local authorities are not able to do. So what that means is that in partnership with local authorities, we can get money to carry out the renovations, to bring these empty properties into use again under our ownership, and they would then be rented out to people from local authority housing waiting lists.
And who pays the rent then? Is it the council who would pay the rent?
But the rent would come from tenants. Tenants themselves pay a rent. It's called a differential rent, which is based on their income. So the higher their income is, the more rent they pay. And they would pay that to Clwyd, because we would be the owner of the property. We would also get a subsidy from the government to help pay the loan that we would get to carry out the repairs.
Okay, and you think that you could solve some of this crisis?
We're already doing it. We're working with Focus Ireland on a project in Dublin City Council, and we're in discussion with a number of other local authorities. So it is a problem that can be solved.
Okay, well listen, Simon, thank you very much indeed for coming in to us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now we're going to take a look at this morning's papers. The Irish Times reports that Troika inspectors believe it will be open to the government